Hello everybody out there on YouTube, and welcome again to my chess TV channel here on YouTube. I'm Steven Sturgill, and thanks for spending some time with me looking at our wonderful game of chess today. And we're going to take a look at something sort of an extension of what we've been looking at over the last several videos, which is the Zaimish King's Indian. And as you guys know, within the Indian system, what you will often end up face, especially if you play competitive chess at a higher level, King's Indian's a little bit rare these days, sadly. It's not that popular, and I think part of the reason is there's just too many good things you can play against it and usually get a significant advantage. I think I've demonstrated that over the last week or two with my Zaimish answer to the King's Indian, but as well, you're much more likely to run into the occasional Grunfeld or Grunfeld. So having said that, what I'm about to present, it can be played essentially against a King's Indian or a Grunfeld, because you're just not letting them out of the gate, basically. So let's get started. And these are some incredible lines, guys. So you can be blown away here. So again, it starts off 1d4. Knight out to f6, c4, g6, d5. Now, guys, is the advanced Anti-Grünfeld, and normally I'm not for playing these slightly suspicious, extremely advanced pawn formations right out of the gate, but I've done some analysis here, and this is very dangerous for black. Especially if they don't know the theory. Even if they do even if they do know counter theory, it's still very dangerous. It's especially dangerous if they don't know. If they think they know what to play against this and they don't, it's pretty bad. So after white plays d5 here, black has a choice. If he wants to continue into that formation of a typical King's Indian or Grunfeld, then he's going to play bishop g7, of course. And here, we're going to go ahead and play, knight c3. And black probably will castle here. There's a couple other decent moves like d6 and whatnot. b6, but that's probably an inaccuracy here. Knight a6 is a decent move. c6 is not that good here. It's definitely it's decent. It's decent. Let's say it's decent, but here we're just gonna assume the black castles, and it really doesn't make a difference what black plays here. We're still going to play e4 pretty much on the next move regardless, and black will then probably get in d6. Bishop out to d3, again a phenomenally it's a phenomenal developing move that again supports the c-pawn, the e-pawn. It prepares dastardly ideas of queen c2, and you're forming this battery looking at h7 or different things like that. At any rate, it's a wonderful, and here really, guys, knight f3 was more than playable here. Bishop e2 is excellent, but I like the immediacy of just bishop d3. Just go ahead and get that move off, out of the way. Black's probably going to play c6. What else might black play here? Knight fd7. Knight a6 is a move. Knight bd7 is a move. But those are not that good. Those are all sort of ceding an initiative to white. So really, c6 is about the strongest thing that black has here. And here the answer is knight e2. We're going to go ahead and avoid that pawn attack. And then black's going to develop the knight to d7. That's knight b8, d7. And interesting move here going bishop c2. And black will play a6, most likely, or something. I mean, what else did he have here? Let's see. Queen a5 would have been decent. Queen b6 here, probably not so hot. uh, at any rate, a6 was about the strongest move that black had there in the position. Go ahead and play a3, h3, pardon me. Black will take the d5 pawn. We'll take back with the c. C takes d5. Black will play the b5. And here we're going to go ahead and castle. Black develops the bishop to b7. We play bishop e3. Rook c8. f3. A little quieter than my preferred f4 in one go, but I think the reasoning here is you just want to make sure these knights don't get hyperactive with ideas of hopping to the g4 and or get these pawns rolling on the g and h file, or possibly knight over to say h5. And then black has the idea of possibly e6 or f5 in one go, things like that. So black knight down to b6. Bishop b3, knight f d7, bishop d4, knight c5, bishop takes g7, king takes g7, bishop c2, e5, d takes e6, knight takes e6, bishop b3, rook c5, queen d3, getting active there from the d3 square. It's preparing possibilities of the queen coming over in just a moment's notice to possibly g3 or e3. Black plays d5 here, looking to obviously open the d file, or possibly even push and question where the knight's going. Rook over to ad1 is a very, very accurate move here. Black goes ahead and opens the column, the file rather, with the d takes e4. Here we're going to go queen e3. Obviously with the discovery on the queen. Black queen goes to c7, getting out of the way of that check. Now we go bishop takes on e6. F takes e6. Knight d4. And of course, if black played a really dumb move here, we'd love to get that royal fork in, but that's probably not going to happen. So rook e8, ensuring that doesn't happen. And here f takes e4 is strong. Bishop c8. Knight b3, kicking the rook. Rook h5. Knight e2, knight c4, queen's got to go somewhere, queen f2, queen e7, and obviously queen can't come to f7 because it would just be taken for free, so that's not. Don't be fooled by the illusion that black is safe there to operate it. They're not. Knight up to f4, striking the rook. Rook drops down to h4. g4. Rook f8. Queen g3. King g8. Knight g2, kicking the rook. Also have a disco from f1, striking the f8 rook. Black exchanges. We take back with the other white rook, obviously. Black rook goes up to h6. Queen b8. Queen e8, protecting the bishop. Knight f4. G5, Knight H5, Queen D8, E5, and I'm going to trade these queens off and play Knight C5. Black's going to go ahead and play Rook G6. And here we're going to go ahead and play B3. Black knight comes to D5. Knight E4. Bishop comes to B7. Finally, fianchettoing. Rook C1. Black pushes the pawn to E4. And here there are several moves that are very, very strong. One idea here is Rook C4. Rook C2 is very good. Rook C5 is very good. But I believe most accurate here is a nice little, don't want to say exactly prophylactic move. King needs to get active at some point, so it might as well be now. So King F2. We're starting to bring that king up into the mix. And here Black has a couple of moves, but they're all losing, unfortunately. Knight E7 is quite strong for Black, although it's not nearly strong enough. Again, Black is crashing and burning, albeit a little bit slow for my taste. Knight C3 is another very decent move for Black. It's just unfortunate that they don't have enough coordination or pieces left to make these moves truly good. They're just good for the position, if that makes sense. So here Black's going to go ahead and play Knight C3. And we're going to go ahead and trade those guys off. And that Rook's going to get more active. Now there's really, really dastardly ideas of invading on the 7th rank there. So Black King over to F8. Again, Rook C7 is the money shot. And Black Bishop drops back to E4. We're going to push that pawn on B4. Black Bishop drops down to D3. A4 in one go. Black Rook comes over to H6, a rather miserable looking position, I think you'd all agree. Here, there are several really, really good moves. Rook C8 check. Rook A7 is excellent. Rook C8 check. King G3, though, is probably the best technically. Well, I mean, it's a really strong move bringing the king up to G3. I think actually here now it's giving Rook C3 is slightly better. Now it just vacillated back to King G3. I think I'm going to stick with the King G3 idea, guys. It's nothing like getting your king active in the endgame. And here again, everything's losing, but if Black wants to make it a little bit slower, he'll probably play Rook G6. Doesn't really matter. We're going to go ahead and take H7. What else? Black Bishop drops down to F1. King to F2, threatening that bishop. Has to go somewhere. It's going to pop back up to C4. And now White has at its disposal several good moves. King E3 is excellent. Rook A7 is excellent. Knight F6 is excellent, but I think here technically Rook C7 is probably the most accurate. Again, you're immediately testing Black. Bishop goes to D3. And Rook C3 again, testing the bishop. It's going to drop down to B1. And again, we're blessed with many different good moves for White. Such is the nature of this crushing endgame. B5 is excellent here. Rook C8 check is excellent. Rook C1 is excellent. But we're going to go ahead and play the probably. Well, Rook C8 is very, very strong here, but it's giving B5, which makes sense visually. I mean, you kind of want to just take that pawn off the board. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to play this guy. There we go. Just nip that guy in the bud. Get that knight active to f6. Goodbye, rook. Okay, black's going to take, and pretty much we're just going to push. The rook's gone. King is active. Rook is active. No more pieces for black. And we'll just kind of, I don't like that move. I'm not going to, nope, that's not how I play as a human being. I'm going to simply bring my king in. I don't like it when Komodo or anything does what I consider to be stupid moves. There we go. Now we're active. And little Zishinjuk there. And that's mate in 76, guys. Again, an IM would have resigned a long, long time ago. Understanding in the position that was just terrible. But if you stayed with me, I've saved the best for last. So let's go back and look at a different line, which is much, much more dangerous in this advanced anti-Grunfeld system. Pushing d5 is the move on number three, move 3. Fianchetto's the bishop to g7. And here, guys, the nifty new move I found was knight f3, which seems wonky at first. Black will probably play d6. We're going to bring the knight out to c3. Knight a6. e4. Knight c5. Queen c2. Again, c2 is a very, very typical and powerful square in all of the King's Indians. The same and here in this advanced Anti-Grünfeld, or Grunfeld, or Grunfeld, however you want to say it. Black will castle here most likely. Bishop e2 is excellent here. Bishop g4. Castles is just a good, strong, basic move here. It wasn't necessary, but I just felt like, you know what? Get it out of the way and move on. Knight fd7. h3, we're kicking that bishop. Bishop takes on f3. Bishop takes on f3. a5. Bishop e3 is an excellent square. We're obviously looking at that knight. We're also having dastardly ideas of coming into the h6 square at some point. Black says, no, 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 no. I'm locking you out with h5. Okay, fine. Bishop e2. And I talked about, guys, in our last several videos about how that formation on e3 and e2 is extremely typical, and it's just a very powerful formation for the bishops. Bishop takes c3. And here, although it initially gave the pawn as taking back, I think the queen taking back is much more accurate. Knight comes in taking e4 with a queen check. She's going to plow right into d4. Knight has to fall back to f6. And if you watch any of my videos, guys, you know what my favorite move in all of chess is. That's right, f4. What a lovely move here in this position. And I think, guys, just take a quick visual snapshot of the position, and you'll notice that if those knights weren't there, or if they were hampered, the Black King is not for choice here. He has two pawns in front of him, one knight, and another knight that can maybe hop in at some point. That's not that good when you compare the fact that White has three pawns coming his way, two other pawns sort of on c4 and d5, mucking things up for Black. The two bishops on e2 and e3 are just lasering and angling towards him. The rook on f1 could at any second become doubled or even slide over to g3. And I think you would all agree white is for choice. So how do we proceed here? Black plays c6, so we're going to go ahead and avoid that pawn attack, which is not strong. We're just going to go ahead and avoid it and play f5. Excuse me. And if you're wondering what is the point of pushing f5, well, hold on just a second. My headphone is... Oh, sorry, the cable is tangled around the headpiece. This is a very, very crafty move here, guys, in this position, because black surely cannot take the pawn. So he has to come up with something else, and just to show what would happen if black played a really dumb move of pushing the g pawn, we'll take c6, black will recapture, bishop takes g5, queen c7, bishop drops back down to e3, rook fb8, queen h4, rook takes b2, that move, the immediate check with the queen, or we have... Yeah, this is much stronger here. We can just do this. And then we've got different ideas of like bishop f3 or rook fe1. Yeah, and I think here, guys, most GMs would just flat out resign. It's terrible now. Yeah. After this move, it's just beyond belief dangerous. Yep, mate's announced now. That's... Oh, wow. Yeah. Ouch. And that's mate, guys. That's mate in 44. So that's why black cannot do that in that position. And again, nor can he certainly. We're not going to even see that. It'd be beyond ridiculous if G crosses F. You need to find a different game to play. Seriously, if you're black. So here, black's best response was knight e5, rook ae1, and you can see the... It won't let me color these squares, so I'm going to use this rook as the cursor. You can see the type of control this rook is x-raying through this column. As well, there's at some point dastardly ideas of possibly getting this other rook into the mix. There's ideas of just sacking this bishop at some point. There's ideas of even taking g6 at some point. But here, queen c7. Ah, it's locking up on me just a second. Bear with me. Okay, it's being a little bit naughty today. It normally doesn't bog down ever in the middle of a... It's still bogging down. How weird. What is going on? I don't think it's still not bogged. It's still bogged down. What is going on? That's strange. Huh. Ouch. Whoa. Whoa, Nelly, what is the deal, Bill? Where were we? Okay, yeah, yeah. It's acting very, very naughty. Let me go back to the. Okay, there we go. Wow, it's acting naughty. Oh my God, it skipped. My apologies. I don't know. This thing has never acted this badly before. I apologize, guys. But let's see, where were we? Okay, right here. From this point, D takes C6 was given its best, but I didn't like the feeling of giving black any kind of decent, cheesy, easy moves to make. I want to put the screws to black and say, you've got a real problem on your hands. I'm not interested in taking pawns on black's queen side. I could give a rip about that. So here I moved the queen to f4, and I think you'll agree, any player in the world playing this in an over-the-board game, seeing that column of power coming in to h6, you've got a real serious problem on your hands. Black takes. We're going to go ahead and invade. Black rook comes over to c8. C takes d5. Queen c2. Bishop d4. Pawn down to g5. Queen takes with check. King over to h7. Bishop d1, kicking the queen. Bishop e3. King goes back to h8, a miserable looking square. Rook f4. Queen takes d5. And there's a couple of ways to finish this off here. I like this way. It's very good. And instead of taking back, we're not interested in trades. We're interested in smashing through black's last defenses. We can go ahead and take. Knight's forced to take. Queen takes. Bishop h6. And I think you'd all agree that white is for choice. Black rook comes to c3. White rook takes e5, getting rid of the only other defender left in the region. Black rook comes to g3. Very, very desperate move there. Rook e3. Rook takes g2. King takes. Queen takes b2 with check. King h1. Queen to g7. Bishop's going to take that right off the board. And just a very, very luxurious, easy mate. And that, guys, is mate in 39 moves. So playing this style of system against someone that's used to playing either the King's Indian or the Grunfeld is exceedingly dangerous. These are going to be moves they're not familiar with, trust me. So let's run back through this variation one more time. Again, the idea is to push d5 on move 3. Yeah, knight f3 here, and then we'll just blitz these moves out. Queen c2, typical of the position. Preparing castles. Kicking the bishop, it decides to take. Bishop e3, getting centralized. Preparing for bishop e2. Queen takes is much more accurate, I think. Besides, why double your pawns if you don't have to? f4, beautiful move. And I think this is just incredible. This move here of just boom, f5 here is just magnificent to me. I don't know about you guys, but this is just almost sends tingles down my spine. It's just so fantastic because you know that with this move, you're absolutely essentially opening black's king up. was almost wondering here. Just well, we'll come back in a minute and look at it. I don't want to get off the target first. Okay, so that's that. I will say that. Where was it? Yes, I think it's right here. This is also another very intriguing way to finish this game out. You could just smash through with the bishop immediately. Rook g8. And guys, trust me, you would have to have some Grand Canyon size cajones to play the next move. I'm going to give you 25 seconds roughly to think about if you had the biggest cajones, just Utah sized cajones, what would you play here? This is a towel move, guys. So I want you to think, what would towel do here? It's absolutely winning, and it doesn't look like it. You ready? Rook h4. I have to laugh at how ridiculous that move looks. You're leaving your queen on pre. Black takes. Bishop takes f7 disco. Rook h5. Rook comes off. Knight takes. Queen is taken. And we're not going to run too much through this line, but as you can see, white has the two bishops. Had the two bishops. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A 2-pawn advantage and a slightly better piece in the bishop than the knight. I think you would all agree. Also, black's king is significantly more exposed than the white king. And this is just a very, very easy endgame. Not much to it, just a technical win. White king is getting active, using that bishop as a blocking piece. We're going to get these pawns rolling. For example. Okay, something like that, etc., etc., etc. We're already showing about a 7-point advantage, nearly. Yeah, it's going more to 8 or 9, 10. If I let it ruminate, it'd probably go to like plus 15 or 20. So anyways, that's just a crushing endgame. Yeah, it just hit plus 16 and counting. We're not going to go through. I just want to point out that who sees moves like that other than people like Tal? I mean, that would take some Grand Canyon-sized cojones to play a move like that over the board in classical chess. I think you would almost get laughed at. They'd probably think, ah, this guy's a lunatic. Yeah, okay, I'll just take your queen. Yeah, so that's just incredible. What else was I going to show you? I think there was another variation. Or was that further back? I think that was further back. Let's see. Yeah, I think here I had a question in the position if this was... Ah! Whoa, what happened there? Yeah, it must have been right here in the position. I was wondering if this was any good. I feel like there's still a very, very juicy attack in this position. It's not nearly as good, mind you, but it's quite interesting, actually. Hmm. Okay, it's got that. Hmm. I wonder if something just ridiculous like this would actually be feasible. What I'm looking to do is trade this rook off for the knight. No, that's not what I, with the pawn. Oh no, that gives up the queen. What am I looking at? I'm not even looking at the screen. I'm just looking at the numbers here. No, that's. I don't know. It's giving here something like oh, please don't lock up again. Come on, guy. Come on, girl. Don't lock up on me. This thing has just never performed this clunkily. Not during a session. Ah. Yeah, actually, I thought maybe here that was good. No? No, that's terrible. Huh. Okay, what about earlier? Just, yeah, here it's giving an immediate queen h6. Yeah, I don't think there's a good attack here, guys. Maybe there is if I worked it out, but anyways, that's asking way too much in the position. Again, the continuation here, the real one, that is, goes something like this. And here, guys, any grandmaster really in the world would just resign. They would understand the calculation. It's every move is now forced. There's no more good moves for black, unfortunately. And that's mate, guys, and 39 again against a 3100 plus elo silicon monster. Uh, if you know anybody out there that likes to play the Grunfeld on you, the Grunfeld, or the King's Indian for that matter, these are some great lines to play. And also, okay, we looked at that. I think I had one other variation in the position I wanted to show you guys, and it is this one. We used this idea earlier, of course, in the Zamish, and it works very, very well in this position as well. This is another one of those key moments where Komodo doesn't initially understand the position that well, and is giving me a slightly negative evaluation. But we'll see in a minute what the juju is. Not that. That's not the move. I apologize. Queen d2 is the move here, guys. A3 was rather ridiculous to me, so we're not going to do that. F3 here. Knight e2. Like queen comes out like a poison pawn variation. Rook b1, stopping those ideas. A5. Bishop back to e3. Knight fd7. Knight d4. A4, bishop e2, h5, castles, rook e8, f4, my favorite move in chess, queen c7, queen c2, h4, bishop f2, h3, and here there are two beautiful ways you can finish this game off. You can either play the immediate g4, or you can just take the pawn and open the file. We'll look at both. So we'll start with this one with g takes h3. Let me help for white. I don't want to be showing you the wrong line. I think this is the one. Yes. Okay. So from here, black's going to play e5. We're going to take. Knight c5 takes back on e6. So we're going to trade those knights off. Rook will recapture on e6. King over, prophylaxis, and opening the G column. Black plays the only semi-decent move, which is a3 in the position. We're going to push b4. Rook drops back to e8, looking a bit miserable there, not really doing much. f5, immediately questioning black's protection. Black knight comes to e5. Rook g1. King gets out of that x-ray with the h8. Knight a4. It's a little bit of an odd move, but the idea in general is that if the black queen, goes somewhere else, we're going to get a nice little potential fork there on b6. Black plays b5. We're going to take with the pawn. Queen b7. Knight c3, I believe, is best in the position. Black pawn recaptures. We're going to recapture with the knight, as it cannot be taken, obviously. Black bishop shores that up from a very sweet, powerful check. And again, if you had someone miss that move in a blitz game, that'd just be a freebie. White bishop goes to g3. That is f2 goes to g3. Black bishop comes to f5. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I ran off course. My apologies. I wasn't even looking at the screen. Here. Ow. What is the dealio? I apologize, guys. I meant to play rook g2 there. I went off on a tangent to a different line. I apologize. Rook g2 was the move on move 29. Now black bishop comes to d7. We're going to drop the knight back to c3. Rook ac8. Bishop d4. Bishop g7. b5. d5. Rook d1. Rook e7. F takes g6. F takes g6. E takes d5. Bishop takes h3. Rook up to g5. King g8. b6. Bishop f5. Rook exchanges in f5. I mean, that may be a hard move for you guys to understand. Why would the rook give itself up on f5? Wasn't there something better in the position? Really, there wasn't. I let it ruminate for a very, very good while, and rook takes f5 is by far strongest. Yeah, just queen a4 is a decent move here for sure in the position, but this is just really, really putting screws to black. After this recapture, we're going to go queen takes f5, f5, and rook over, queen g5, knight f3, bishop takes f3, rook takes, rook g1, rook f7, knight e4, rook 3 f5, queen d8 check, rook up, oops, that's not the move, queen c7, trading off the queens, knight over to c5, black rook, to bf7, bishop takes, g7, and rook e8 It's not the kind of move you're likely to see most human beings make, but if you see that, it's still a miserable move to have to make. We're going to go ahead and push d6. Rook takes g7. Rook takes g7 check. King takes. d7. Rook down. King gets active to g2. Brand new queen. And the rest is just a crushing endgame, obviously. And that's mate and 62 guys. So that's a pretty good line as well. Had a couple other variations here in the position, but what else was there? No, that's not it. Excuse me, I'm in the wrong area. Ah, yes. Okay, so we just looked at this line with G2 takes H3, and the idea here. Ooh, excuse me, that's not the. Is to pretty much open up black as rapidly as possible. We get this rook on the G column. A little bit of queenside cleanup activity. And it's mostly preparation to get white's pieces coordinated and active. Ooh, I ran into that wrong line again, I apologize. Yeah, the rook G2 is the key move here, and I think here as well. No, not yet. Let's see. Yeah, I thought maybe here this would have been good. Just immediate doubling of the rooks. It doesn't know much what to think about that move. It's vacillating dynamically between just tremendously different evaluations. One was giving a plus 0.40, now it's giving a negative 0.08. Is that really legitimately? I find that hard to believe. I just cannot believe that black is holding on in a position like this. Well, yeah, now it's finally busting through, giving white a significant edge. I don't think it fully understands. I don't, but I'm sure it doesn't. That's... Yeah, that's no. I don't. I'm not buying this for $1. Yeah, it's all over the map, guys. It's giving as much as a plus 0.40 down to like plus 0.17 to 20. Okay, anyways, that's neither here nor there. Let's get back on target. Apologize. Where were we? Let me go back. Make sure we're on target here. Yes, so G4, Knight F6, pawn F5. Black pushes G5, King H1, Rook B8, Bishop B3, Bishop D7, Rook G1. There's that idea again of the rook coming to the G1 square. E6, D takes E6, F takes, Bishop takes G5, B5, Bishop H6, E5, Bishop takes G7, King takes G7, Knight F3, B4, Knight takes A4, Knight takes A4. Here, certainly the queen could have taken, and that's a decent move, but G5 here is a little more accurate. Knight's going to pop over to H5. Queen's going to grab A4 now. There's not really a better move, I don't think, in the position. Knight F4. Queen comes back to E1. C5. Knight H4. Rook H8. Rook G4, protecting the knight. Queen D2. Bishop C6. Bishop F3. Black plays B3. We'll go ahead and check the king with G6. King G8. F6. And right here, guys, I think you would agree on move 37, this is a resignable position. It's move 37, and what would have been for black a King's Indian or a Grunfeld or Grunfeld. And on move 37, black can resign. It's over. It's literally all over. The rest is just gravy, as they say. But we'll see how this plays out. B takes A2. F7 check. King F8. G7 check. King takes F7. Rook exchanges an F4 check. Love moves like that. And instead of taking with the pawn, black wisely goes back to G8. Although again, this is a crushing, brutal endgame for black. G crosses H8R. Promotes to whatever and gets taken, obviously. Rook G1. A1 queen. And we're going to avoid that and play Rook G4. Takes. Black queen comes to H7 in a desperate attempt to protect the king. White queen invades on D6. Queen G7. Rook exchanges on D7. Goodbye, black queen. King takes. Knight F5 check. King G8. Queen G6 check. King F8. Queen G7 check. King E8. And the coup de grace. Queen E7 mate. Guys, that's mate in 50. Again, against 3100 plus ELO monster. You'd bet your bottom dollar that these lines are exceedingly dangerous for anybody, much less a silicon monster. Now, to people's criticisms that, okay, knowing lines like this, black might play something totally goofy and unexpected and take you out of your theory. Well, that is certainly justifiable criticism, but that just means you're going to have to do a little bit more analysis and realize that what I'm aiming for is positional solidity, solidarity, harmony, with really, really long-lasting attacking potential in white's position. I'm not looking for just cheapos and quick weird moves that can easily be flipped the other way, and all of a sudden now black is in the driver's seat with a plus 1 point whatever advantage and initiative. I don't ever want to cede any initiative to black if possible. So we'll run back through the best line that I found for this anti-Grünfeld advance, and that is simply this. F4, F5, and really white is just forming a net of doom here. This is just beautiful, beautiful piece harmony here, guys. Just awesome to behold. That rook sack is just magnificent. It's defined. That bishop invading on F6. I mean, literally, this is resignable. Black can just sign his score sheet. If you really, if you think about it, right here in move 29, black can resign. It's all over. It would take, let's see, going back to this, right here, I can well understand and believe that Black thought he had realistic chances of defense, but after this little exchange here, I think anybody can understand it's all over. This is the beginning of the end. So, and that was another glorious shot. This E1 rook smashing through, taking the knight on E5, the last defender in the position. A protected defensive move. Black rook just giving itself up. Black queen, and obviously here it wouldn't have made any difference had the black queen come to G2. It's the same exact thing in the position. And that's mate. That'd be mate in 38. So play with this, guys. I hope this enhances your understanding and your ideas. If you know someone that likes to bust out a Grunfeld or a King's Indian, try to take them down these very, very dark, scary paths that I promise you they will neither be familiar with nor have a strong answer to or antidote. And I wish you the best luck in your games in your next tournament. Keep on playing our royal game of chess, and I'll see you next time here on YouTube. And Happy New Year, guys. Thanks again. Bye bye.